Welcome, fellow masters! As you guys already know, the 17 million download campaign has been announced, and with that, the free SSR ticket. So, who should you pick? Honestly, WAVER. But if you already have WAVER, who else should you pick? Let's talk about it. Now, before we continue, I want to take this moment to thank our sponsor for this video, BuyE. Once more, BuyE is back, and they're offering you a fantastic service during these post-pandemic times. If you don't recall, let me tell you, BuyE is actually a service that will allow you to actually make purchases on Japanese websites as if they were your own. So if you want to go to Japanese Yahoo or Japanese anything else, you can go do that. You can order food, clothing, figures, even the VTuber Mori Calliope album can be purchased through here. And what's even better, for those of you who go ahead and want to give that a shot, if you click the link down below in the description and in the pinned comment, my friends at BuyE will give you 2,000 yen off your first purchase. That is $20. So if you like what you hear, go ahead, click that link, give it a shot, and let me know how you feel about it in the comments. Trust me, you won't regret it. Now back to the video. Honestly, when it comes to these tickets and all this sort of situations, the first thing you need to pick is your husbando or your waifu. Literally, you have the option to pick from a small pool of servants for free. You don't want to pick meta based off of that. If there is a unit that you see that you have wanted for a very long time, please pick them. Now, one more thing I want to say, this list is going to apply for a future event where everyone's going to get a free 5-star again. For those of you who missed the free SSR ticket, don't worry. When this comes up next year, this video will still be relevant and you'll be able to use that information there. So let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about how WAVER should be your first pick. Tsuge Liang, also known as Lord Emeloy II, also known as WAVER, is a fantastic caster and one of the best casters in this game, for the simple reason that their skill set allows you to put them in any team comp that you want, and every single one of their skills actually aids to giving you Noble Phantasm. The first one gives you 30% gauge off rip, no drawbacks or anything, and also as a subtype increases one ally's critical damage for 3 turns, 20 to 50%, which actually makes up quite a bit if you're having a critical based team comp. Then you have the second skill, which increases the party's defense and it also reduces the party's damage for 3 turns. So that is a 20 to 30% damage increase plus 200 to 500 damage reduction on top of that, and then an additional MP charge for 10%. Again, good. This is advanced in the strategist. Other servers have had this feature, usually strategists like Reigns or Chengon. Lastly, command to the strategist A+, increases party attack for 3 turns, increases party damage for 3 turns, and then increases party MP gauge by 10%. So 50% Noble Phantasm gauge off rip. You now know why double WAVER comps are a thing. You can now do this if you have a WAVER now. So now that opens up the options for you to farm a little bit more effectively. That opens up the options for you to be able to handle high difficulty content a little easier. This is actually one of the main reasons why he's good, but it's not the only reason. We gotta get into his Noble Phantasm, which reduces all enemies MP gauge by 1, at 150% chance to inflict curse with 500 damage for 3 turns. Actually, no. Sorry. How could I forget? This thing has a rank up quest. This thing is stronger now. It actually reduces all enemies MP gauge by 1, like I said before, and it's 150% chance to inflict curse with 1,000 damage for 6 turns to them, and 150% chance to reduce their defense for 3 turns, with a chance to stun them for 1 turn. Point is, this Noble Phantasm is very good. It will help you in a lot of high difficulty content later on. But for the most part, he is good in farming. He is good in high difficulty content. He is good in almost everything that you bring him to the game for. Now, does he have the specialty to hyper focus your Buster team comps or your Arch team comps or your Quick team comps? No, but the ability to fit in whatever team comp you need him to fit into is the reason why I consider him to be the best caster. And you can just get him for free. Literally, this is your chance to have a support caster if you don't have one. But what if you already have WAVER, or for whatever reason you do not want WAVER? I very much think you should have a WAVER. But here's some other options, just in case. Ah yes, the face of Fate Stay Night, Artoria Pendragon. Yes, I believe she is actually a very good unit to have if you don't have her already. Here's why, aside from her being the face of Fate. She may be a year 1 servant, and you can definitely tell that by the values on this charisma, but she gets some insane buffs. So first, her second skill gets a buff here. It's a mana burst. It's a boost of performance for 1 turn. Competence Anniversary. This will become Dragon Reactor Core B, in which it increases, again, buster performance by 1 turn, but also increases MP damage for 1 turn, and then changes all own command card type to buster for 1 turn. This is a buff that has never been seen at this point in time. Literally all the cards that you see on the deck when you're playing as her become buster cards. Depending on how you play this, she has a fantastic turn. Although, with that MP damage up for a turn, it kind of makes it feel like you want to use this for a Noble Phantasm. And I actually go into her a little bit more in our server review of 60 seconds, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. Then we have our third skill, which before was Instinct, and they went ahead and made it even better by changing it to Radiant Road EX, which now gives you 15 stars and 30% MP battery, which is a very good skill. Now let's go into the Noble Phantasm, which before just dealt all damage to all enemies and then charge on MP gauge, which is good, especially if you have a high enough MP charge. But they buffed it even more and increased that damage. With everything, with all the buffs that they gave to Artoria, she actually is a fine farmer. Like, she is gonna do a fantastic job. And funny enough, actually pushes her over the edge of Mordred, which before was the go-to saber face for farming. But maybe you just don't like Artoria. So, for those of you who don't, I would like to suggest Enkidu. Now, Enkidu is a single target Lancer, and they are really strong. Fantastically strong. Already you see the kit here is a triple quick arts buster for a Lancer, which is very odd, but they have 4 hits on their quick, 5 hits on their arts, and 6 hits on their extra, with a very strong single target buster hit. First skill is increasing buster performance for a turn, and you grant 1 random buff of the 2 effects, either a quick performance or an arts performance buff. So literally it's a coin flip. You're either getting buster quick or buster arts, which is fine. You obviously want her to have buster quick, but just the simple fact that you have that for 1 turn is good. So you can either have a very good strong neutral turn or use this for your Noble Phantasm. But next up, second skill. Before it was oppressive detection, which removed the evasion buffs and reduces their area critical attack chance for 3 turns, which isn't that great, but then they actually increased it even more by allowing Enkidu to have an evasion for a turn, which automatically makes this better. Third skill though is insane. Recovers own HP and removes own debuffs, which is great. It has a debuff cleanse, but look at the amount of health he recovers. 5,000 to 10,000? That is a lot of health. The amount of health he has, like if you level him up all the way, no grails or anything, it's 15,300. And you're telling me that this skill, he can just heal 10,000. That's great. Now, it is a super long cooldown, and if he did get some type of buff, I would say try to lower this cooldown might be very well worth it, especially nowadays, but that is insane. And we're not even done yet, so let's talk about the Noble Phantasm, which got buffed. Before, it dealt damage, stunned divine enemies for a turn, and then reduced their defense for 3 turns for activate first, which is very good. So now it's even stronger, because it deals an additional 200% extra damage and threat to humanity enemies, reduces the defense even further, and also increased the damage value. So this is a super strong Noble Phantasm. And also another thing we want to note with these suggestions is the materials aren't too crazy here. Yeah, it's a lot of chains, but a lot of these are still year 1, creeping into year 2 type of materials that actually get quite thrown around a lot. So leveling him up will not be a pain, which is nice. Plus he gets a costume later. Enkidu is a fantastic boss slayer, and if you're missing one or any sort of strong Lancer type, I highly suggest you go ahead and pick Enkidu. But maybe you already have Skyhawk or Brynhilde or anything like that. Here's another suggestion that I have for you. Jack the Ripper! Now, 5-star Jack the Ripper, even though they are a child, I get it. She is a fantastic year 1 servant. Once more, triple quick Archbuster with a lot of hits on her quick. Look at the MP charge rate, a super high MP charge rate, which means she's getting her Noble Phantasm up very quickly, even off her Arch cards, with insane crit generation. But let's go even further here. She has an evasion that also is a quick performance. This is one of the things that I kind of don't like, is that the evasion is tied to her quick performance damage, and it's a 30 to 50% quick up, so that's pretty large. But she is a year 1 servant, and this is relevant. The point is you have the option to use it, but ideally, if she did get buffed, I would like this skill to get buffed. Next up, we have Information Erasure, which is so good. You remove one enemy's buffs and it reduces their critical attack chance for 3 turns. Just saying, hey, all those buffs you got, gone. That is a fantastic skill to have. Some servers that have that usually have it on a Noble Phantasm. So the fact that she has it on a skill, and she is a year 1 5-star, very nice. Let's get to that 3rd skill though. It's a simple one, just recovering HP. It's a pretty high amount, and it's on a low cooldown. But ideally, you don't really need that too much. Again, she's a year 1 servant, so forgive her for how plain some of these skills are. But next we have her Double Phantasm, which was buffed. Already, it ignores defensive buffs to the enemy, and also increases own damage against female enemies for 1 turn, which activates first. That is a significant amount of damage. But it also got increased, so she does a lot of more damage now. So you might think that the female type isn't that relevant. Let me tell you, there's a lot of female enemies in this game. There's a lot of female enemies that are actually coming up in the game story this year and next year. She is always going to have prevalence for that female buff under Noble Phantasm. It's a significant buff, especially if you get more charge, but 50% extra damage on top of this, on top of the quick performance. Then you put her in a specific team comp where you try to heighten up her damage. That's insane. She's gonna kill very fast. She doesn't even need a starting MP battery like CE because of how fast she gets her Noble Phantasm. Let me tell you, play with Jack once like off a support and just do quick or arts quick command chain. Look how fast her Noble Phantasm goes up when you have some stars in her. It's unbelievable. So I covered your farming and I covered your single target DPS, but I do have one more pick, just in case Jack or Enkidu didn't fit your style, just in case Artoria didn't fit your farming needs, and just in case, for whatever reason, you either have WAVER or you don't want WAVER. How about you try Tamamo no Mai Caster? She is a support caster that's going to highly focus on arts as her main specialty. She even has triple arts in her deck, which is common for casters, but she has a high hit count on her arts card. Do not look at the fact that her MP charge is atrocious. Trust me, she needs some help if she wants to Double Phantasm, but we're not looking at that. We are looking at her skill set. So already from the rip, she can drain an enemy's MP gauge from 80 to 100%. If it's not fully leveled, just consider it a 50-50 chance. But if you level up 100%, it's guaranteed to happen. But it got buffed. So now it also increases MP damage except for herself for 3 turns. This makes so good in art support strategies. So now you can drain that MP and then use the MP damage right off rip. Or maybe you don't want to use the drain, you just want the MP damage, that's fine. You still do that. It's not bad of a cooldown with only 5 turns. And that's pretty good. So let's move on to the second skill. Obviously the worst skill that she has here. Increases own defense by 30% for 1 turn and further increases own defense for 3 turns. It is a very selfish skill. And if she did get a buff, I would like for this skill to be buffed so that she actually covers the entire party, but they might not do that. Maybe they'll give her something else like a guts or something like that. I'm not sure, but this skill definitely needs to be buffed, if it were. But lastly, let's talk about Fox Wedding EX, which before it just increased one ally's arts performance for 3 turns. But look at the percentage, 30 to 50%. That's large. But it got buffed even more. So now it also recovers HP, 1,000 to 2,500. That's quite a bit. Again, Like, Jack's surgery skill was that. And again, in some situations it's not going to be helpful, but since she is the support caster, if she could just target and give this to people, that's pretty good. Wait, what am I saying? Surgery was also targetable. Oh my god, it's actually better than I thought. Anyway, the Noble Phantasm here has a very unique skill to it. Here you go. Reduces party skill cooldown by 1, recovers HP, and it also charges party MP gauge. Fully supportive. The fact that she lowers the skill cooldowns means that the uptime of your skill goes way up. Like, even for her, because she's a part of this makes it up. But hey, that got buffed, you know. So now you get even more HP. So, weirdly enough, if you have an MP, normally you would be tempted to maybe put hers in first. Maybe leave your strongest attack for last. I actually highly recommend that you leave her MP for last. Because if you do, you get the highest charge at 300%, which is 37.5% MP back charge. It's very, very good here. If you just so happen to have more levels here, that just increases the health, which isn't necessarily important, but just having this 300% charge, this can be super helpful here. It can mean the difference between having your Noble Phantasm the next turn or not. She is used in strategies to abuse her ability to lower cooldowns and also give hyper specialty to arts. And with Castoria come out, that is literally her partner in crime. The two of these people working together are actually fantastic comps. Imagine having Tamamo no Mai, you support Castoria, and any other arch unit. You are good. They'll more than likely take care of whatever you have to take care of. If you have a Neurobride, that gets even better. If you have a Waver, that gets even better. Like, Tamamo is a very good unit to have in your pocket. If you don't have one already, that's honestly going to be one of the units I suggest that you grab. She is on this list for a reason. And if you already picked your waifu and Husband, like you already have them, and for whatever reason you either have Waver or don't want Waver, Tamamo no Mai is a fantastic pick. That's gonna about do it for today. I really hope you guys get the units that you want, and I really hope I was able to help you decide a little bit of everything else. So if you guys want to see anything else going on with helping out FGO, I have a beginner series here if you want to check that out. I definitely go over general tips there, and if you are stuck in Olympus, I have a playlist here that will definitely help you through that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you there.